I don't think I'm hyperbolizing by calling this a Canadian disaster. Disaster in Vancouver, disaster in Calgary, disaster in Kitchener and Halifax, because you may have noticed something different about today's sports radio, especially if you are here in Vancouver, where I am based, and where I do feel like this news has gotten the most attention. A lot of people have their early morning routines by driving to work. Driving to work or taking the train, hopping onto the expo line, going to Waterfront, either doing your work downtown or taking multiple trains. Maybe you're taking the Canada line, then you take the expo. Maybe you take the Canada line, get off at King Edward, take the 25. You go to BCIT or something like that. There are a number of different things that people do on their morning routines. And for a good chunk of sports fans in this city, a lot of that routine involves Sportsnet 650, the radio program channel where shows like Halford and Brough, Canucks Talk with Thomas Drance and Jamie Dodd, Canucks Central with Satyar Shah and Big Nazar all get broadcasted. The same channel where you would be able to listen to the live Canucks feed games, commentary by Brendan Batchelor and Landon Ferraro, pre-games, post-games, analysis, special guests every episode, Frank Saravalli, Elliot Friedman, David Penyota, David Amber. These were the channels where so many individuals got their information, where they were able to pass the time. You need something passive to listen to while you're on the train, because just looking out at a dim 6, 7 a.m. Vancouver skyline gets a little boring once it becomes too dark. And so people listen to the radio, either via their radio listening apps, or if they're driving a car, just straight up tuning it on the dashboard. And 4 years ago, there was a big catastrophe in Vancouver when Sportsnet 650's main rival, TSN 1040, was shut down unexpectedly. All the hosts on the program lost their jobs in an instant. They all had to either jump ship and go over to the bad guys in Sportsnet, which they weren't really the bad guys anymore because they were the only guys, or they were forced to starting their own podcast, their own independent shows. They went on to Check TV like Rick Dollywall and Don Taylor did. And now it's happened again. You may have wondered what happened earlier this morning because some of y'all were trying to go onto Halford and Brough. Listen to what's going on in that program because it's Tuesday. There's supposed to be Halford and Brough programming. But if you were checking out Sportsnet 650 in the morning, you wouldn't find it. Jonas Segal, out of Toronto, went out there and posted this. By all accounts, Rogers has shuttered Vancouver sports radio Sportsnet 650, effective immediately. Furthermore, this article posted by Connie Thiessen on broadcastdialogue.com has everything else we need to know. Rogers Sports Media cuts 230 jobs, shuttering 6 radio stations. Rogers Sports and Media is cutting 230 positions across the division as it announces it is shuttering 6 radio stations. The stations set to go off air today include 1130 News Radio in Vancouver, Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver, Vancouver's last remaining sports radio station, by the way, 660 News Radio in Calgary, 960 AM in Calgary, News Radio 95.7 in Halifax, and 590 News Radio in Kitchener. A Rogers media person said that those licenses will be returned to the CRTC. So, in the short term at least, what this means is the radio stations are no more. There's no more Sportsnet 650. There is no more Canucks Talk, Halford and Brough, Canucks Central, at least for the time being. And anybody who wanted to go into the summer with the opportunity to listen to the latest from these radio programs, I mean, it's not like they were going out there and doing daily, fully committed shows every day in the off-season anyway, but the fact that we are not going to be getting any new content from these individuals is devastating. And furthermore, you may be wondering, wait a minute, what does that mean for the Canucks? Like, not the Canucks analysts, but literally the Canucks. Rob Williams posted this: Canucks radio broadcasts will move to another Rogers Sports and Media-owned station in the market. But that's just the Canucks radio broadcasts. That's the live play-by-play telling of the game, not necessarily, sports talk radio like Halford and Brough is. And with that, it's tough for me watching this go down. It was tough watching TSN 1040 leave the Vancouver airways, being replaced by Funny 1040 or whatever it was. But to see Sportsnet 650 get booted as well, in a way, it kind of validates all of the weird and oddly sentimental goodbyes that we were hearing from all the guests on Thursday and Friday's programming last week. Heck, in a way, even yesterday, we had a lot of people going out there onto the radio station as guests to talk about the NHL and to talk about the Leo Carlsson offer sheet, and the goodbyes were all odd. There was a somewhat eerie sense of finality in most of these conversations, and you can chalk it up to it being the summer. That's very fair, and that's what they were chalking it up to on these radio programs. Oh, Landon Ferraro, it's been amazing talking with you throughout the course of the year. Cannot wait to see you again, stuff like that. Have a great summer. Things like that felt oddly more sentimental than usual when talking about leaving for the summer. And now I'm trying to think, maybe did some of these people know that Sportsnet 650 was going to get the boot? With that said, for me personally, I wonder what this means for the state of the system going forward. For those who know me personally, I am media trained. My education beyond high school involved me getting a diploma with honors at BCIT in their radio arts and entertainment program. That was in 2018 to 2020, just 6-7 years ago. And when I was at school, this was the dream. For myself and many of my classmates, hey, we want to go work at a sports radio station. Being an analyst, being somebody that they call to get their opinions on, somebody that has their own show and is getting paid to talk sports every day. Now, for me personally, I made it work via other means. I mean, this YouTube channel is my full-time source of income. Knock on wood, it stays that way for a while. But with no more Sportsnet 650, with no more TSN 1040, I sit here and I wonder and I ask myself, what is the next generation going to turn towards? Podcasts are nice, and I'm sure that's where a lot of the hosts of these radio stations are going to turn towards to kickstart/continue their own shows. But there is something magical about live, unscripted to an extent, unedited, in-the-moment sports talk radio. And for folks like me, who came into radio broadcasting, journalism programs, wishing to be a part of that world, I wonder, are there going to be jobs for people like me to go into after graduating from radio school? Are there just less and less people like me who went journalism, broadcast school, who are interested in doing this specific kind of thing? I mean, it's a great gig. And the service to the public that it does, not necessarily giving your own hot takes on the radio, but just being in a position to communicate with so many people on their morning drive or on their drive back home. That's special. And taking away that right for so many people by removing the shows that they listen to and displacing the hosts that host these shows, I feel bad the most for Halford and Brough. They suffered through the TSN 1040 removal, and now they're doing it again? Just 4 years after? That's absolutely ridiculous. Support local news, folks. The newspaper, the radio, the podcasts. Rogers, I don't know what the hell y'all are doing. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.